Darcy Lynne took the world by storm in 2017 when she won the 12th season of the America's Got Talent. At just 12 years old, she showcased skills that many seasoned performers only dream of: perfectly synchronized ventriloquism, a stunning singing voice, and the ability to bring her puppet characters to life with humor and heart. But at just 19, she finally admits what fans and critics alike have been whispering about. There's so much more to her story than meets the eye, and you just won't believe what she has to say. The audition that changed everything for Darcy. Darcy Lynne's road to fame didn't start with an audience. Rather, it began in the quiet of her Oklahoma home, when a shy little girl struggled with a fear most of us can understand: stage fright. Yes, this same Darcy who would go on to capture the hearts of millions couldn't even speak in front of others. Can you imagine? The girl who would become known for her voice couldn't even bear to speak in front of her classmates. But then she found her secret weapon, a puppet named Petunia. Now here is the twist. Ventriloquism wasn't just talent, it was a lifeline. Darcy uses the art to overcome her nerves, but there is something deeper driving her, and fierce determination to break out of her cocoon and prove to the world that she had so much more to offer than anyone anticipated. But when she auditioned for America's Got Talent, she wasn't taking a chance on her talent but herself. Oh, what a risk it was. Just think about it. A little child, clenching her puppet tightly while onto that big stage, with the spotlight on her, and with an audience not uttering a word, almost holding their breath. You could almost hear the whispers in the background. Would this be another case of some child talent crumbling under the pressure? But then Darcy's voice, or rather Petunia's voice, filled the room, and it was magic. The judge's jaws dropped, and even the notoriously hard-to-impress Simon Cowell could not conceal his pleasure. But behind that stage presence, behind every smile and joke, what was going through Darcy's mind? She quickly became the favorite of the fans, capturing hearts across the nation. It was the perfect story of a shy girl blossoming into a confident star, right? Well, not quite. See, while the audience indeed saw Darcy's rise to fame, they didn't see the struggles that came with such success. How about the long, tedious hours of practice, the pressure to keep up this perfect image, and those fears creeping in that maybe she wasn't cut out for this after all? You would think that once Darcy had the world's approval, her worries would just vanish. But here is where things take an interesting turn. The bigger her success grew, the more those insecurities gnawed at her. A teenager propelled into a world where every step she took was scrutinized, and each and every performance was compared with the last. It is these kinds of pressures that can break or make a person. But why didn't she say all that then? What was she trying to protect? But for Darcy, her friends, and her family, the stake was different altogether. They saw the late nights of just trying with puppets, pushing herself to keep that perfect facade. She had to come off camera, smiling, winning. Yes, her rise was meteoric but relentless. And with all of the claps and golden buzzers, there was something she kept hidden from all people. But behind all those claps, what was Darcy hiding behind the curtain? What was that she couldn't tell? Not even her staunchest followers. As it turns out, Darcy's real battle wasn't with a microphone in her hand. It was against the reflection staring back at the mirror. So, where does one go when it all becomes too much to handle? And finally, when she comes out about it, how will the world receive her, when dreams come with a hefty bill? Everything changed in the blink of an eye from the moment Darcy Lynne's America's Got Talent win flashed across screens. As early morning regular school routines and afternoon carefree self went out the window, Darcy's world catapulted into one of tightly packed schedules, interviews, and endless public appearances. This girl was an overnight sensation and a household name, just 12 years young. But behind those beams of smiling brilliance and energetic performance, was there a hidden cost for such sparkling moments? It was not easy balancing schoolwork with being a global phenomenon. Just picture the math test one day and doing shows for thousands of people the next. Darcy would many times go to bed late at night, practicing with her puppets and going over every detail of the next show, and then wake up early to go to school. That was what dreams were made of, but as with every dream, a price had to be paid. Was all this worth it? She must have wondered as the demands of fame weighed heavier than any ventriloquist's dummy. It wasn't only Darcy's social life that was affected. While others her age went to school dances and slumber parties, she jet-setted around the country, sharing her gift with any audience that would have her. Yes, she met celebrities and appeared on talk shows, but behind all the glitter and glory, she struggled to keep friends, missing out on the simple things in teenage life. The spotlight shone bright, but what of the shadows hiding just out of sight? Darcy was always known for her bright smile and bubbly personality, but as she swam through the industry, there gradually started building a lot of pressure. The expectations were sky high, and with the ever-moving sword of time, there was always that dreadful question of whether she would lose her spark, her charm, and her appeal. It is a kind of pressure no teenager needs to go through. Did she tell anybody, or did she choose to bottle up her struggles behind perfect puppet acts? But even with setbacks, Darcy handled herself cool and calmly on stage, leaving no performance unreleased with her all. But behind that curtain something else was brewing, a struggle, hidden well. What could have troubled the girl that seemed to have it all? As Darcy started making her first steps into adulthood, the weight of fame continued to cast a long shadow. Or was this what she signed up for on that fateful day that she auditioned, or had the reality of stardom become too big a burden to bear? A confession that left everyone speechless. Years after her triumph on AGT, Darci Lynne shocked the world with news that no one would have thought in their right mind. It wasn't something as simple as a new song or a tour date announcement, anything along those lines. This was personal. Of course, most people believed they knew it all about the young star, but they were left in a state of shock as she let the bombshell loose. For years, Darcy had kept it secret, even while smiling all over in front of cameras and being playful with her puppets. So what exactly was this admission that sent shockwaves through her fan base? In a highly emotive interview, Darcy revealed with heart-rendingly candid sincerity that, beneath the smiling face and smooth composure, anxiety and anxiousness, even that now, had grown in step with fame. The pressure was on to always be perfect, to pull off being the prodigy, and it had begun to take a toll on her mind. Imagine, if you will, being a teenager with the weight of the world upon your shoulder, working your way through life with an upbeat attitude while the nagging voice of self-doubt screamed louder. Did they like my performance? Or am I just a fading star? She'd often question in silence. To all her fans, this was a bombshell. Darcy's story was always one of triumph, shy, overcoming it, mastering the art of ventriloquism, and subsequently amazing audiences with ease anywhere in the country. But behind the triumph and success story lay a different Darcy from what few people had seen. That level of vulnerability clashed with the radiant, zany performer who had grown up on stage in front of her audience. And yet, on the internet, theories and speculations seemed to have flown everywhere. Some speculated that the pressure of her overnight success fame had contributed to her struggles. Others wondered just how long she had been concealing this part of herself and why she chose to speak out now. But it gets even more interesting. Darcy didn't just confess about her past. It was a major turn of events in which she had changed her view on life and her career. She started working out, taking breaks from the limelight, trying to put much-needed attention toward her mental health, something so bold, especially for a person whose whole career is based around being in the public eye. Was this the signal of the slow pace of Darcy in the limelight, or was she building up to an even more inspiring comeback? One thing is for certain. The revelation by Darci Lynne did not only change how fans looked at her, but how she viewed herself. This was the end of an era of silence and marked the beginning of a much more real chapter. But how would this new wave of honesty shape her future? Would she move forward with the same passion, or would this be the start of a new path, one that no person could have foreseen? And the answer is, as always, waiting around the corner if one would just unravel it. The unexpected twist, a moment that changed it all. Surprises tend to make headlines in the entertainment world, and Darci Lynne had one that no one would have ever predicted. It was a show like any other, one which Darcy had performed numerous times in the past. The crowd was abuzz, her puppets ready to roll, and everything just seemed to be going according to script. Then, in the blink of an eye, a crazy incident turned her world upside down. First, she was commanding the stage. The next, a technical failure had killed her microphone and silenced not only her voice, but also that of her puppets. To anyone else, it would have been a minor setback. For Darcy, whose entire act was based on timing and the pre-recorded voices of her puppets, it was a potential disaster. As the audience fell into an uncomfortable silence, all eyes were on her. She would panic, or somehow she'd keep the show moving. Darcy's reaction left them all speechless. Instead of breaking under pressure, she did the least expected. She turned the mishap into pure, unscripted comedy. "Looks like my puppet's got a case of stage fright," she quipped, and the audience burst into laughter. It was quick thinking, but what did this reveal about the real Darci Lynne behind the polished performer? But that was not all about saving face on stage. What a turning point that was. The crazy incident went viral, and thereafter fans and critics alike praised her composure under fire. Clips from that show flooded social media as fans praised her maturity and adaptability at such a tender age. Yet behind the praise were whispers. Had this moment alone shown that Darcy had outgrown the cute and controlled style of her roots? Was this a signal that she was ready for raw, more spontaneous performances? The incident made a mark not only in her career, but also in Darcy herself. In later interviews, she mentions this as a lesson learned about embracing imperfection. "You can't always control everything," she said, "but sometimes the best moments come when things go wrong." It was a shift in perspective that would influence her approach to performing and even her outlook on life. In that moment, Darcy was not an entertaining ventriloquist, warming the hearts of America. She was a young, aspiring artist ready to make her mistakes and take risks. Yet, even now in her bravery, a question remained. Behind the bright smiles, was this a case of perfection failure? Did this make her revise what she wanted from her career? This twist of events, while giving an impression that something was ominously brewing for Darcy, who was continuing to soar into the spotlight, begged the question, what would be next in store for her fans, and how would she reinvent herself after such a life-altering moment? Answers would still have to come, and that left everyone wondering what was next. Turning a new leaf, Darcy's bold career shift at 19. However, fans did tell a different note how even when Darci Lynne reached the age of 19, her performances reflected and in the way she approached being in the spotlight. It started to get pretty obvious she wasn't going to sit in that lane very much longer, and she had something up her sleeve. Darcy, known for her puppet acts so full of quirkiness, began exploring fresh avenues that reached into a whole lot bolder. She began experimenting with new styles that incorporate music and comedy, reaching beyond the puppetry that made her famous. But for what reason? Why this sudden shift? To break ties from her image on AGT? Darcy's decision to reinvent herself wasn't some subtle change. It was, in fact, a bold statement. She started posting songs on social media featuring her voice, alone, sans ventriloquist act. The reactions were mixed. Longtime fans were excited to finally see her expansion, hoping for more of her voice unfiltered. The critics weren't so sure. The question was, could Darcy ever make it big out of the niche that launched her into the limelight? Would fans accept any version of Darcy sans the puppets? Or was she risking her career by stepping away from what she was best known for? Darcy was candid, at least in one interview, about why she made the switch. "I don't want to be put in a box," she said. "Ventriloquism will always be part of me, but I do have other stories to tell, other parts of myself to show." It was a statement that outlined a deeper ambition, to grow beyond the persona that these fans had grown to expect. But even in embracing those new challenges, some of that feeling of uncertainty was still there. Could she balance this desire for growth with the expectations of those who fell in love with quirky, puppet-talking Darcy? This reinvention also saw Darcy addressing more mature themes in her performances, pushing the boundaries of what audiences had grown accustomed to. She even went so far as to mention a future in acting, a move which set fans abuzz with curiosity. Yet with every different direction, one question would always remain. Would she pull off a new identity, or was she risking the legacy that she built? While some applauded her courage, others felt that she was shifting gear too fast and losing in that process that very charm that made her a star in the first place. Despite these mixed reactions, one thing was certain. Darci Lynne was ready to take control of her narrative. No longer content with being that AGT prodigy, she cut a niche for herself as an artist of many elements. But what did this new train of thought mean for her future plans? And was she ready for the challenges that came with playing the role? Darcy, somehow, with the fans holding their breath, appeared to be obstinate in proving she had more than anyone could have predicted. With every step that she took there onwards, it was a leaving of us asking ourselves, how far could Darci Lynne go, finally free to be herself? Why we believe she's just getting started. Darci Lynne's path has been nothing short of remarkable, but then you would think that you had witnessed it all. Think again. At 19, she is not just reflecting on the past, just setting the stage for an entirely new chapter. Still, what does such a thing look like to a young star who has already conquered America's Got Talent and toured the world? Many had hoped she would back away, if not fade into the background, but the latest moves by Darcy insinuate otherwise. She has intimated new projects, new career directions, and even more surprises that may leave many of us speechless. But what is it about this moment that makes it so important for her? To begin with, her recent performances have betrayed a maturity and depth quite beyond her years. Her puppets might still steal the show, but in their wake now sits a confidence in her delivery, a feeling that she has finally found her voice and not just those she creates through ventriloquism. Critics have pointed out that her recent shows seem more genuine, more Darcy than ever before. It's as if she is inviting us all to see the real person behind the puppets, and the fans can't get enough of it. With that in mind, however, authenticity raises the following question. Is Darcy moving away from her signature act? There have been rumors that she might be involved with every part of the entertainment world, from acting to music, to even producing her own content. While some die-hard fans worry this means a goodbye to her beloved puppet friends, others believe that it's just what she needs. She has so much more potential other than ventriloquism, said one online commentator. I think she's just scratching the surface of what she can do. But for all the speculation, Darcy herself has kept us guessing. In interviews, she's been coy about what's next, dropping hints but not saying too much. It's a classic open loop, leaving people hanging on every word. There's definitely a lot I want to try, she said in a recent quanda. I don't want to be put in a box. That one statement had the fans in a flurry, arguing over every possible meaning and speculating at what new surprises Darcy might be cooking up behind the scenes. And oh, the massive support that's behind her. With everything from industry mentors to a die-hard fan base, Darcy has the support system to make daring risks. The majority of her fans believe anything she touches will turn to gold, citing that she has already proved she can take the heat. But what if a rising star as brilliant as Darcy decided to go into unexplored territories? Will she find her new efforts met with applause? Or will she get the same judgment that often comes along with trying to break free from an exceptionally well-received persona? For one, Darci Lynne isn't done surprising us. Whether it be a comeback on television, going on tour with some kind of twist, or even making a career switch to a completely different creative direction, one thing's for sure. She's taken the reins on her story. The real question isn't if Darcy will succeed, but how far she's willing to push the boundaries of her talent. With so much left unexplored, maybe her most impressive accomplishments are yet to come. This is one of those stories that is still unfolding, and we are still waiting with bated breath for what comes next. Darci Lynne's journey has been a wild ride, from the AGT stage to facing her deepest challenges. And now, at 19, she's stepping into a future that's as uncertain as it is exciting. Will her next move redefine her legacy, or is she preparing to surprise us all once again? Only time will tell. What do you think Darcy has up her sleeve? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned for what's next in this incredible story.